The Pacific Northwest Meditation. Here at Pacific Northwest Meditation, we honor and welcome each of you, whether you're just beginning or have been walking on the path for years. Just want you to know that your presence here matters, and your presence shaped this community of practice. So I want to welcome you all, and we warmly welcome people of every age, ethnicity, cultural heritage, religious background. We welcome people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, all socioeconomic groups, and all abilities. We also want to acknowledge the fullness and richness of your identity, including dimensions I may have not named out loud, and to honor the many intersecting ways we each experience the world. We gather here to practice and study not just for our own awakening and liberation, but for the benefit of all beings and this living earth. We recognize the suffering caused by prejudice, power, privilege, and systems of oppression. And together, we strive and we aspire to do no harm. And we commit ourselves to dismantling barriers that create separation and suffering, knowing that our liberation is inseparably tied to the liberation of all. And here on this path, we work with mindfulness and loving kindness as our guides to create a safe space where everyone feels respected and truly welcome. And we recognize that this is a dynamic, evolving process that requires continual listening, learning, and care, especially toward voices that have been historically marginalized. Our shared leadership embraces the responsibility to foster policies and practices that support true inclusion. And we know that it takes the heartful engagement of every Sangha member to help create and sustain a community that reflects the Dharma we aspire to embody. So I'd just like to take a moment now to pause and honor and acknowledge the indigenous people of this region, whose ancestral lands we now occupy. So these include the Willamette, Clackamas, Multnomah, Tualatin, and the many tribes and bands now part of the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde. We recognize the Cowlitz, the Confederate tribes of the Grand Ronde and Siletz, and the many Native communities who have lived along the Willamette and Columbia rivers and throughout the Cascades since time immemorial. But just taking a moment to acknowledge and offer our deep gratitude for those who have stewarded this land, preserved the land, and the land in which our feet stand upon. Acknowledging all of the history, the sacrifices, everything that's here that makes up this present moment. So I'd like to share some community guidelines. We invite you to help us maintain a welcoming and respectful space by following a few guidelines. So out of care for those with sensitivity, we strive to be a scent-free space. And for those with neurodiversities or any seeking quiet, we offer a peaceful garden space. So right out back here. And when you come out through that door, make a left, and then there's a door that leads out to the back. And if you need additional support, please feel comfortable and to speak up, and don't hesitate to speak with me or with Rob. We are committed to cultivating a space of safety and inclusion. So we invite you to use your pronouns if you feel comfortable when you go into sharing. And Dr. Beatrice Berry reminds us that and one of the most powerful tools we have at our disposal is the tool of diversity. When I opened my mind and heart to the diversity of the world, I open the avenues to succeed. So taking a moment to be in touch with what there is that we can be grateful for that is shaping this moment now, the conditions, the causes that led for you to be here, whatever it took for you to be here, and acknowledging your own intent, your own journey of being here. So welcome, Sina and Tony, for joining in. Mhm. So we'll practice for 30 minutes. And so in this time, you're welcome to sit on the chair, sit on the floor, lie down, stand. At any point in time, if you want to do some walking meditation, there might be some room in the back there, or uh, maybe even, walking outside. Yeah. And for those of you in the room, really you're welcome to practice in what ways feels available for you today. So oftentimes when I think about the practice of meditation, yes, we're cultivating mindfulness, but we're also cultivating loving kindness. So how to really tune in and listen to what our body needs from us in each moment. Right? Oftentimes we feel like it has to look a certain way. I'm only meditating and practicing mindfulness if I contort my body in some way or if I hold up a certain posture. But really, this practice is an invitation for us to rediscover and return to, what does loving kindness look like in this moment? Is it sitting very, comfortably where the body's relaxed? Because when the body's relaxed, the mind follows. The mind can be relaxed, right? And or is it sitting more upright so that there is a sense of wakefulness and that also invites the mind into wakefulness? And even in walking, even in motion, we can cultivate that steadiness of mind and that calmness of the heart. So really considering what that is like for you today and in this moment. And throughout this practice, at the beginning, I'll offer some anchors, and then you're welcome to stay in that posture that you choose. You're welcome to change posture at any point, but doing so quietly to not disturb others who might be deeper in their meditation. And really, what the key here is to be really aware of the impulse to move. Those moments where we just don't even know that we just reach up to scratch our head or something or a part of the body. But before that happens, ooh, there's an itch. Ooh, how does that feel like? Or, oh, I feel a uncomfortable sensation somewhere. And just taking a moment to pause and stay there and feel it and feel into it. What is that like? Oh, and how's my relationship to this right now? This itch, this pain, or whatever it is, the sound, my relationship to that, or relationship to no sound, whatever that is that you become aware of before that moment of, you know, like change, taking time to just see how you're relating to it and how it feels like inside, right? So that's what we're cultivating, that ability to be aware. Usually it's just stimulus and then response. So here we're creating that space in between the stimulus and the response. And that's what we're cultivating, that energy of awareness that can know this. Right. So like right now as we're speaking, I also feel itching like right by my knee. And I'm like, oh yeah, it feels like this. And now I can choose, do I want to scratch or do I want to just wait it out and see if it changes? And what happened is we explore what it's like to just be with that. And we come to know of the changeability of that experience, that it will shift and change. It might intensify. It might, become more subtle. And so I invite you into that as you're in the practice, or even, as you're working with some of the anchors here, is to just notice, like, you know, what brings you back to the present moment? What brings you back? Right? And just notice that. And whatever is easy, that's or more available for you, that brings you back to here, rest in that. Rest in that and say, okay, that's where I'm going to land. That's where my attention is going to stay. Rest there. And in that process of choosing to rest there, that's where we cultivate concentration, the ability to stay. And in that, we can start to see the mind going off. Because it's in this way in which we're practicing to stay is where we start to see when the mind goes off, okay, or when the mental chatter kicks in and think about the past, the future, but then there's this ability that we can stay and see all this, right? So the anchor allows us to kind of land in one place as we look out into the mind and the field of sensation. And it's just able to see all that. Oh, okay, this is what's happening right now. Yeah. And not trying to change or fix it, control it, or force it to be some other way. And we could also notice the judging mind that is wanting this moment to be different, wanting the mind to be different, wanting how our body right now to be different. And again, here is where we apply loving kindness. We continue to bring in that softness, that grace in the way we talk to ourselves, talk to the pain in the body, in the way we're connecting to these thoughts that are there. It's like, oh, hello, I see you. I've come home to be with you. I know you're there. Oh, of course you feel this way right now. So that kind of like nurturing, soft quality that can be with ourselves, right? Oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves. We want ourselves to be better, different, or whatever it is. And so today, as you practice, I invite you to really tune into that grace, that softness, that way you would be with a sweet little child or a pet. So that's what you're going to apply towards whatever emotion or thought or sensation arise. Is that way? Yeah. And what does that mean when we meet the unpleasant or the unwanted that's here, that comes up in our practice? Right? So wherever you are now, I invite you to choose a shape that feels comfortable, supportive, and stable. So yes, if you're sitting on a chair, what would that look like? How would that feel? Feel free to grab a pillow if you like, or change chairs. If you're in a chair that you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work, I should move to another chair. And giving yourself that in moments. So as you're arriving, seeing if there's any movement you'd like to invite in, stretching the neck, rolling the shoulder, maybe even tensing up and then releasing, right? So tensing up the hands, muscles in the face, and then releasing. See what that feels like. Coming back to this body. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So whatever feels good, whatever feels like it's an expression of loving kindness. And knowing that at any time you can again shift posture or come out of the practice altogether. And you can open up your eyes, right? You can even choose if you practice with your eyes open, choosing a focal point, an object, or something like, in front of you that's grounding, and then rest your attention there. But if it feels safe to close your eyes, um, just let the eyes rest, the eyeballs rest in their socket. And closing the eyes help limit distraction and kind of allow us to drop into the body furthermore. And it's important to know that, we're not required to sit really still. Stillness comes by way of us softening. So the more we can soften and relax and let go of holding on to tension, we naturally settle into that stillness. And even in walking, stillness can be just this body in motion. There isn't trying to do something or make something happen. There is just this presence of being. So take a moment to scan through your body now and notice where there might be any tension or tightness, to invite in that softness. Relaxing the shoulders, the neck, the back. Relaxing the arms, the hands, the legs, the feet. Allowing your body to sink into the surface below you. Letting go of what's no longer serving you. And you might choose to anchor your awareness to the contact points in the body. Maybe that's feeling the hardness of where the sitting bone or certain parts of the body is pressing against the surface. Feel the pressure, the weight, the heaviness of the body. Directly experiencing this body in its posture. You might notice the temperature, noticing clothing against the skin. Notice sensations, tingling, vibrating, pulsating sensations. And so getting in touch with the contact points in the body. Maybe staying here or moving to sounds. Hearing sounds in your environment. The layers of sound. And this is happening in the present moment. So perhaps resting your attention here. Or moving your awareness to the breath. Noticing the breath entering through the nostrils, passing through the chest, and filling up the belly with air. Notice the breath emptying. Directly experiencing the breath energy as it courses through the body. How do you know you're breathing? How do you experience the breath right now? Maybe it's feeling the breath rising and falling in the chest or the belly. Maybe it's the sensations of the breath coming in and out the nostril. There's a cool air entering the nostrils and warm air leaving the nostrils. So choosing an anchor that feels simple and maybe even easy to be with. Resting back, touching this moment deeply, touching whatever's here, softening, and then coming back to your anchor. Nudging ourselves back to the present moment. Aware of what's here, and also remembering to offer love and kindness to offer ourselves that grace. That makes room for however our body and mind is today. That is all welcomed. Noticing the quality of your attention. What would give rise to that energy of mindfulness that stays interested, curious, and intimately touching whatever's here? That felt sense, that felt emotional, the tone of this moment right now. Alert, alert, awake, and relaxed. We'd like to end our practice with this song on resting deeply. You're welcome to continue sitting and allow the words to just land however they do, or to join me in this song, for those of you who know this. Resting, resting deeply. I return my life to the one who listens deeply to the sound of the world. Resting, resting deeply. I return my life to the one who listens deeply to the sounds of the world. Resting, resting deeply. I return my life to the one who listens deeply to the sound of the world. Resting, resting deeply. I return my life to the one who listens deeply to the sound of the world. In a moment, you'll hear the sound of the bell that marks the completion of our meditation. I invite you to continue to carry that energy of mindfulness that you've cultivated into this transition as you move from stillness and maybe even lingering in that. Any goodness that you touch into, any peace or any spaciousness, any moment of stillness that you can savor. Give yourself that moment to savor what goodness came out of your practice today. So we'll take a little bit of a break here and we'll come back at 5:40. So about 9 minutes. For those of you in the room, there's a few bathrooms here. There's one right outside that door across that hallway. There's another one upstairs if you go all the way up to the top and go to where there's a door that leads into a hallway and the bathroom's on the left side. There's also one in the cafeteria if you go all the way into the cafeteria and make a left and then down a hallway. And then there's a water fountain outside here on your right. And you can take this time now to stretch, invite in some movement. You've been sitting for a while, so see what feels good, what would support this body, and what feels nourishing. Offering yourself this kindness, this care, this loving attention. Right. Welcome back, everyone. Back. Um, Everyone on Zoom. How's everyone on Zoom doing? Can you hear me? Yes, Margaret. Thank you. Welcome back, Sina and Tony. Mhm. It's kind of odd to see you on the virtual side because I'm so used to seeing you both in person. There you are. So I've been reflecting on this for some time as I am in spaces with people who are curious about this path, but they're not quite on the path, but they're kind of searching, seeking, and wherever we are, when what we call our path, um, I think of how important it is to, first of all, really get clear of what that is. But I think even more important is it is knowing that we are on a path that gives us a sense of where we're headed. And then now we have a, a goal or something to work towards, and I think of why, how valuable that is that, when we're missing that, if you think about the time, perhaps for you where you didn't know of a spiritual path, you didn't know of another way to live other than just living without really consciously thinking about this this way of moving through the world intentionally, that we find ourselves moving away from pain, moving towards pleasure, just kind of like ping-ponging through life. And, you know, it's like swimming through the sea of sorrow and pleasure and, you know, loss and gain and of the worldly winds of, just like, being praised and then being blamed for things and just this constant back and forth. And so, today I wanted to just talk about first how important it is to have a goal and at the same time, know what that is, and then how important that it is to strive. Sometimes in um some teachings I see there is this emphasis of not striving, but today I actually want to emphasize the importance of striving and when that is good to strive, when it is good to apply that extra effort. And so, first of all, this path that we're on, is having for ourselves recognize how stressful life is, how much, of the suffering we face, we have no control of, that it just happens to us. And it's like, how do I stop this pain? Or how do I work with this? How do I live with this? The stress, the anxiety, the challenges of life, right? So first we recognize that, yeah, that's there. And now I'm interested in how to like experience some relief from all of this. So that's the noble eightfold, that's the four noble truths. So first the recognition of stress or suffering or of the struggle of being human. And then from there, we are now curious. We're like, okay, so this is uh this is what's so. And now what how did this get here? How do I ended up in the sea of suffering? Or how is it that it's so stressful right now? So we're like in that moment where, that inquisitive mind, kicks in. And now we're looking for someone who's looking and curious and questioning. So one of the qualities of someone being on the path is someone who's questioning things, right? Um, and having looked at the root of suffering, seeing the source, the origin of our suffering, our stress, how, why the struggle is the way it is, then we're now working to alleviate ourselves from it. So, okay, here's some things that I can do to stop this. Here's what I have control of. So that's the cessation of suffering, the third noble truth. And it doesn't end there. It doesn't mean the suffering stop. It just means now we get a sense of what this process looks like. And then now we're like, okay, well, I see that there's this process, and I see that suffering will just come, the hard times just keep coming. What is going to keep me at bay? What is going to carry me through this? And that's the fourth noble truth. So this path. So in, Buddhist groups, when we talk about path, that's what we're talking about, that path. That path that is the path leading to liberation. So freedom from suffering. And on that path, I'm just gonna frame it a bit before I go into some of these pieces I want us to reflect on and contemplate on. So on this path, it's a noble eightfold path, and these are qualities, but they're also practices. So first is, we have right view, and right, we can replace the word right with skillful, wholesome, supportive, helpful, beneficial. So let me just use the word skillful view. So first one, skillful view, and then we have skillful intention, skillful uh I keep saying the word right because I'm so used to that. So right view, right intention, right action, right livelihood, right speech, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right. So we're always looking at these things when we're on the path. Before I speak, is this right act or is this right speech right now? Is this wise speech? Is it wise to say this? This is wise to say it now. Is it wise to say it like this? Right. Or view. Is this view supportive to the quality of my life? Or is this view going to, create more pain and suffering and tension and conflict? What is my intention when I say this or do this? What's the intention here? Is my intention aligned with how I want to show up in the world, with compassion and wisdom and kindness and peace? Or is my intention maybe wanting to be right, wanting to punish them for maybe they're wrong, but whatever it is. So really, we're always reflecting inwardly around these things when we're on the path. So we're no longer moving through the world like how I was saying earlier, just avoiding pain, moving towards pleasure, and you know, just this whole world of a sensory experience, like, you know, all about gaining, acquiring, and accumulating, and then it becomes painful when we lose this. Finances are not good. And we have now a larger context in which we live our life in is through this wider context of the path. So it's no longer that that view that is just being caught in the winds of life anymore. There's this beautiful path in front of us, and we're always taking in, you know, is this wise action right now? Instead of, if we don't have that as a framework, we just take action. It's just impulsive, reactive. There's just, I'm going to do what I always do. When someone does that or says that, here's what I do, here's what I say, right? And here's who I am. I'm the person that blah, 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 blah. And so it's a new way of being, it's a new way of living. And what I think it's so beautiful about this is then now we've we have a goal. We have a goal that we're always working to refine and and aspire towards, right? And this goal is to continue to practice wise speech, wise, action, wise intention, wise effort, right? Wise livelihood, wise mindfulness. There's being mindful of like, yeah, I'm mindful that, I'm talking on the phone driving right now. And then there's mindfulness in such a way that we're mindful of the body right now while it's sitting here. We're mindful of our internal state and what's coloring my mind, what's coloring my mood right now, right? Maybe like the clock was a pleasant sound, but now it's not. Maybe the temperature of the room is not good, but now all of a sudden it is. Or maybe when we first came to this room, we were feeling a certain way and now it feels different. We could be mindful of that. So that's right mindfulness or wise mindfulness is a way that we are practicing being aware that actually leads to liberation. So just mindfulness alone, not it. This is mindfulness in a way that leads to liberation, leads to this this uh state of peace, this quality that we can just be. Like I can just set the world down and just be. I can take the weight off of my shoulder, the backpack off my shoulder, and I can just be here, be present, be human. Yeah, be with just life right now. And so on this path, the goal is, for some of us, I mean, maybe taking a moment to reflect now, what is the goal for you on this path? Is it to experience more ease and peace in your life? Is it to understand, what is the meaning of all of this? Is this all there is? Is it to understand suffering so that we can help others, right? To help the worldly problems we have. So we have to first take time to understand it within ourselves, our own suffering, in order to understand how to solve the world's suffering. We have to understand what's producing our suffering. Because it's not just out there happening to us, but it's happening and it's how we're interpreting and receiving it. Right. Earlier I talked about the stimulus and then the response. So we're looking at how we've already always respond, and now we're working to develop a new way to respond to what is happening. And that's the training on this path. And so going back to the goal, so what is your goal with this practice? To live life more fully, to be in the present moment, to no longer live in regrets, because when you think of, let's say, the days, weeks, or months where you lived in worry or doubts or anxiety, you've lost that time. You can't get that back. And I was listening to a talk of a researcher who interviewed people um, who were of age and who were in their later years of life and asked them, looking back, you've seen that talk? Yeah. So looking back, like, what are your pieces of advice for people? And one of the key things that was brought up was, you know, don't stop worrying, stop worrying. And again and again, when they interviewed people, who lived really good lives, why were they so happy at the end of their life? It wasn't about how much possession they had. It wasn't about how much they accomplished. It was there's this one piece amongst other things, but it was to stop worrying so much. And the things that they would say is, I remember when I was at my job and there was news that they were doing a huge layoff and it was going to happen in 3 months. And that 3 months, I was worried. I was so worried. I wish I got that time back. So a number of people talk about how they wish they got their time back from the months and years of worrying. And so if the goal is, I want to live life more fully now and enjoy the time I have now as best as I can to cherish this precious human life, if that is your goal, let that kind of be the anchor for you as you're on this path, or how to reach. One of mine is like, I want to reach the fullest human potential. Like, I just enjoy self mastery. So it's like, I'm given this precious life, I'm given, this able body. How can I reach this human potential and share that and offer, contribute to society, contribute to life and to those around me, right? So that could be a goal to have. And then now bringing that back onto the Noble Eightfold Path. So we have to be effective. We want to be effective, you know, and to be effective, it's what is the most skillful speech? What is the skillful action that will produce the results? What is, the skillful livelihood? What is the skillful view to have? Because we could choose what view we're going to take on about the world, about ourselves, about how we interpret what happened to us in our past as, you know, tragic as it may be. But there's this skillful view, and all these skillful steps and practices and qualities that will continue to allow us to, you know, keep living in this state of peace and wisdom. And so I want to now bring in the point about having a goal and also striving, right? Because there's a paradox to striving. Yes. This and it's tricky. It's tricky because, when is it that we're trying too hard, right? When is it that we're trying too hard and now it's just this moving target? It's like if you try, you're not going to get there. But then if you don't try, you're going to be, aimlessly, moving through the world, right? So how do we find that right effort, right? That effort that is just enough. And I often think about my one of my teacher, Ajahn Sona, who has a monastery in BC, a forest monastery in BC. He often talks about how important it is um, to continue to cultivate that energy and that effort. And he often makes this pitch that Yes, mindfulness is important. And before mindfulness, it's effort. It's about putting in the right effort, maintaining effort, right? So how much effort do we apply and finding that between effort and ease, right? Allowing, kind of stepping back and letting things be, and then leaning in and coming forward. And we can see this in our practice too when we're meditating, right? Do I tune in a little bit more to stay really awake and present? Or is it becoming so restless right now that I need to kind of rest back a bit? So that's for each of us to play with and experiment in our own practice and see our tendency and then see how to cultivate that we need, that whatever that missing or that element that we need to kind of find that balance. Just like then the metaphor that's often used is like tuning an instrument to produce a fine sound. So if the strings are too tight, the sound doesn't come out right. If it's too loose, still don't hear the right sound. So not too tight and not too loose. So this is the way that we are uh, orienting ourselves on a path. Is there is a path that I am on. And now, with this recognition that I am on this path, I'm already clear that there's suffering, and I'm acknowledging suffering as I'm going through life. I'm continuing to look at the root of them. How did it get there? What conditions give rise to them? I'm practicing this this path in such a way that I'm mitigating any harm, but also reducing the karmic ripple of my action, my speech, my thoughts. Because when I can reduce harm out in the world, I'm also lessening the suffering for myself and lessening the suffering of others. So when I think of skillful effort or wise effort, there's the four exertion, the four right effort, which is we're looking at the wholesome and the unwholesome. And so unwholesome states that have already arisen, we're working to abandon them and suppress them. And wholesome states of mind that have not yet arisen, we're working to prevent them from arising. And then working with wholesome states of mind. So we can say wholesome states, thoughts, emotions, actions, all of these things. Working with the wholesome, whatever wholesome states that have already arisen, we're going to continue to maintain them, keep going, keep generating these wholesome states of mind, of loving kindness, of compassion, of generosity, right? Of patience, of equanimity, of faith. And then the wholesome states of mind that have yet to arise, they're not there yet. We're gonna look for them and try to work to tap into that, to cultivate that, so that it becomes a part of a quality that we're familiar with. Like it's a part of our bank account, right? So these wholesome states, we're working to cultivate them, give rise to them. And what I think is important here that I find comes up a lot in uh, a lot of the spaces that I teach in and conversations around this is that we hear it and we know it and we get it. Yes, this makes sense. But when in action, it's so easy for us to lean towards unwholesome. It's like anger, but I need to express this to this person while in this state, or you know, being judgmental or defensive, or like all of these states, it's so habitual in us, that we go right there without even thinking, oh, wait, I am feeding and watering unwholesome states of mind and emotions and thoughts and speech, right? So for me, this is like one of the like if I, if we don't have the path memorized, the 8 practices or qualities, we could just look at it from just these 2 angles, wholesome and unwholesome, right? And I'll use some other words because I know how language can kind of sometimes trigger certain things in us. So the word is sama in Pali, the language of the Buddha, Samma. And we could use, instead of the word wholesome, what is beneficial and what's not beneficial, what is helpful and what is not helpful, right? What is supportive and what is not supportive? What is supportive to my well-being and the well-being of all, and what is not supportive to my well-being and the well-being of all? What is helpful to my life right now and how things are right now, and what's not helpful to my life and the lives of others right now? If I say this or do this or think this. So from that angle, always turning inward, you know, something as simple as, let's say, we injured ourselves, we hurt our back. And it's that way we talk to ourselves. Ah, God damn it. It's like, God, why now? Or Jesus, here it is again. Sorry, I'm using these words. I shouldn't. It's part of the language. I do it. It's how we talk. Yeah, it's how we say to ourselves. Labels and with Jesus and God. Yeah. Oh, please forgive me. I feel so wrong. And this is how we talk to ourselves. So when we're on this path and we're working with wholesome and unwholesome, how would we shift our language? I've been working with someone close to me, like in these past days around this. It's like, oh, hello back. Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry. I know thank you. You've done a lot for me. And I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to move slowly, or I'm going to give you some time to rest today. Is that, you know, helpful, supportive, beneficial, wholesome, right? So we're always looking at this. How are we relating to these experiences? And then how are we being? How are we speaking? And even in the speaking, it shifts our thinking and then it gives rise to loving kindness. Because if I say, oh, yeah, just practice loving kindness to your back, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be peaceful. But may you hurry up and just like get better already, right? So this is more of that the emotional tone of this is, oh, that softness, that kindness, that sweetness. So we're training ourselves in this. Earlier when we began our practice, I was saying in this training, not only are we training in mindfulness, but we're also training in loving kindness. Because it is loving kindness that is the antidote for the poisons of the mind, greed, hatred, and delusion. Whether it's with ourselves that we have in here or with our environment, what's around us, right? Antidote for greed, hatred, and delusion. And I know it's very hard to practice that with people out in the world right now. But this is that goal again, going back to that goal, the commitment we have towards the goal is, again, I'm going to continue to lean in and offer loving kindness inside of this, the goal of well-being, of freedom from suffering, you know, because whatever goal it is that we have for ourselves, that's also a goal that will directly affect what's outside of us, our environment, our society, our human race. And the other part too is to notice first, mindfulness help us to detect what is our current state of mind, and then to see how long we've been dwelling in that state, particularly the unwholesome state or the unskillful states of mind, and being able to just like unhook ourselves from being in that state. So mindfulness allows for us to see that, and then the right effort comes in, and we unhook ourselves, or just like picking up the needle, and changing the track, right? Or changing the channel. And so continue to see when we dwell in that unwholesome mind state to now move towards wholesome. And we're not ignoring the thing that upsets us or the sadness, the pain. We're not ignoring that. We recognize it's there, just like that back, right? It's like, yes, yes, I know you're there. I know you're there. But now we bring in that kindness, that love, that softness. So we're not ignoring that. We're there for it. We're present to it, but we continue to bring in wholesome states of mind to be with the anger, right? The depression, that part of us that's still really like hard on ourselves. We can invite in the loving kindness to be with that, or the gratitude, right? Patience, that's another quality that we perfect on this path. The ability to endure, yeah, that's also there, to endure the pain. It's like, oh God, this is so hard. This is so tough right now. But it's that ability to be with it. It's, I was on a retreat with Tweri, uh, teacher from Seattle Insight, and she talks about this bird. I don't know the name of the bird, but it's this really tiny, tiny little bird. And every year it goes on this journey twice a year. It's this tiny bird. It goes on this journey twice a year, and it goes from here, and it flies all the way down to, like, I think it's Central America, South America, but it only travels along the ocean. It doesn't go inland. So it takes this one journey without stopping. Do you know what that bird is, Rob?
I'm not sure, but it's like a several thousand mile flight.
Several thousand mile flight. Yeah, yeah. And it's just incredible, this tiny little bird. So at the beginning of its journey, it's like maybe it's this big. And then as it goes on this journey, it's lost so much weight, and it goes for just however many thousand miles without stopping. Imagine what it's enduring. If we went on that journey, yeah, what would we be saying? No, exactly. Yeah, even before getting on that journey, we're already worried, we're stressed, we're anxious, and why the heck am I doing this? Am I crazy? And should I be doing this? Maybe I won't go. But it does this every year, twice a year. It goes on this journey. And it's just a journey of our life. Pain just is a part of life. It's inevitable. So that journey for that bird is like, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what is. I am to make this journey, and I'm gonna go. And it loses all of its weight by the time it gets there. I can't imagine what it's like, but this determination. There's this determination and this, just continuous, consistent effort that gets it to its destination. So we can think for ourselves too, to get to our destination of peace, of goodness, of well-being. What effort will we apply? And that determination that I'm going to free myself from suffering, the suffering that I have control over, right? The unnecessary suffering that I add to life. That is the path. And that's where we apply the right effort. That's where we strive. Is this is the part that we can strive. And this is the desire that we can have, is this right here. The strong desire of reducing suffering in our own lives. So a lot of times sometimes people ask me like, oh, you're Buddhist, so you're not supposed to have desires, right? I said, I mean, well, first of all, I'm human, so I'm gonna have desires. I'm still riding this wave. And then the second part is, though, what I'm working on is working with allowing myself to have wholesome desires. And they work to abandon or kind of loosen the attachment to the desires that are fleeting and just not supportive, not helpful, right? But we can have desire, and this is that desire of deepening, you know, spiritual deepening, the desire to, you know, practice meditation more and cultivate mindfulness that leads to a happy life. So that is the kind of desire we can have. The Buddha said it's wonderful to have this desire, or the desire that we want to, you know, alleviate suffering for ourselves and others. Not in a way that we're trying to fix or change. So here's again where this like not trying to fix or change anyone, not trying to solve everyone's problem, but it's more of this meeting, allowing, being present to and for the suffering of the world, the suffering of another, and the suffering within ourselves. So we can strive towards liberation. We can strive towards alleviating suffering. We can strive towards well-being. Like, like, you know, everything can be looked through this lens of, will this add to a sense of well-being for myself and others, or will this take away? If I have this thought, if I have this conversation, if I continue to ruminate in this, right? Will this, and striving for peace. So with this decision that I'm getting ready to make about this job, this direction in life, this relationship, to stay or go, will this offer me peace or will this rob me of peace? That's what I've spent time with for a number of years when I had to make some big professional decision. Will this rob me of my peace? And it's so clear when we frame it in that way, we know there's no consideration. There's no like, well, this is, yeah, but then it's just, will it? Yes or no? It's so clear. And that's that part about the path that is so direct and clear. It's not fuzzy. It's so clear for us. And when we ask these questions in this way, it helps us see, and know and remind us of our goal. And then where do I strive? I strive towards peace. I'm going to strive to simplify my life, right? I'm going to strive towards being present for the things that matter, which are relationships. So in one of the Harvard studies, it's, that went on since the Great Depression. So it spanned across all these years. So 100 years is, you know, Okay. It's what is it that have people live a happy life? And it's number one thing, it's relationship, having good relationships. So here, community, spiritual friends, right? People that we, you know, um, that we can come to for support, for to take refuge in Sangha, to have wise teachers and guides and companions and people who are on this path. Because if we're with people who are not on this path, it can get really complicated, hard to see, like, should I do this? Okay, should I do that? Wait, they're telling me this, but they're not on the path. So they don't have that framework that we have. So that's why it's so important for us to know the path and know our goal. So um, I think the last thing I want to share is it doesn't, the path is not like when I think of goals too, it's not like when I get there, then I can finally, right? But it can be present for us here and now in this very moment. And this morning in Wake Up Together morning meditation, I shared about how at times we minimize the practice of loving kindness. And it becomes this, at times, this intellectual thing like, yeah, I know I should do this and I should say this. And we do, but it goes deeper because it's like, okay, so on the surface, it's like kindness is sharing, kindness is saying nice things, opening doors, it's, giving to charities, all these things. But going beneath the surface of that is on a more internal level. So are we being kind to our thoughts? Are we being kind to our patterns, to our emotions, to our body? And then even deeper than that, our relationship to ourself, you know, our relationship to whatever's here, whatever's going on inside of us. That kind of kindness that knows that because we've been through so much and we tried everything, we try to fight, we try to, you know, resist, we try to run, we try to avoid, we all these things that we try to do. And then we realize that it only makes sense to be kind. It only makes sense to offer loving kindness. And that loving kindness itself is an exalted state that we can be in. So there are times maybe I'm sure you have like those moments where you had this profound insight into your life and there's just this like opening that occurs. How did that feel like? There's this like energy, right? That moves and radiate through your body. Like it's this feeling of joy and rapture, like like coming up for air, right? So loving kindness is a state that is next to that, but ongoingly we can tap into that. And it's like it's suffusing the whole body down to our bones, the layers of skin, our bones, into our organs and our cells. And it's this feeling of wellness, like feeling so well. It's like when you think of having come out of being really sick and you feel so well, it's that right there. So that's the energy of loving kindness. When we practice it and we let it suffuse our whole body and we give up all the unwholesome, the anger, the sadness, the depression, we give all that up and we turn towards all these wholesome qualities and states and practices too, because it's sometimes it's the practice that has us access this state. Sometimes it's changing the words, and saying something kindly that have us access this state also, because now we feel it on a, you know, in that feeling tone. And so this is a state that is of wellness. It's like feeling really good. It's like a high almost. Yeah, it's like a high. And so we can practice this in daily life, turning towards wholesome conversation and friendships and spaces. And if we listen to something or read something, it's again feeding that rather than feeding anxiety, anger, right? Yes, you all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I too. I think we're all guilty. And it's like, wait a minute. Now I put myself in this state. And now I'm going to, this is now the quality of my life, is this right here, the state that I put myself in, having read that, having listened to that. So this is how it works. This is how it works. And we can work with it in this way, here and now, here and now. When thought arises as we're meditating or as we're moving through the world or as we're sitting here, leaning towards what is good, what is right, you know, what's wholesome, what is serving, where's the warmth, and then moving away from, okay, yep, let's just, change the channel here. I'm about to go down that track and oh, come back, right? And sometimes we do it and then we forget because we're not mindful, but we can reflect on it later. Yeah, that conversation we had the other day. Maybe we shouldn't have had that conversation. Maybe I should just, every time I want to talk about that thing, I should just like make some sort of reminder or tell everyone around me. If you hear me talk about that, hold me accountable. Right. So our Sangha can support us, our friends and, you know, those who care about this path that we're on. Maybe they are on the path, maybe they're not, but we can have them hold us to account. And we go into that unwholesome state and we're now just like dwelling in it and we're not even realizing it. But how we can get in touch with it is we can feel it in our body. That's mindfulness of body. We feel the the tightening up, the tension. We feel our muscle tightening up. We feel, restless. We feel that restless energy. We feel anxious. We feel, you know, contraction, yeah, tension, all these things. Or even like the way sometimes we approach our experience, usually it's fine, but why today? It's like, that cup of tea or the sound of the fan or something. All of a sudden it's like, it's really annoying today, right? Or someone's voice used to be so loving, but today, mm-mm. So that reflects back to us, our internal state, that we're in a unwholesome state and moving out of it and calling in the wholesome, the beautiful, the good. So maybe I'll pause here. I'll put the link to donate in the chat. And for those of you who are here in the room, yeah, we were missing some stuff. You can go online and pnwmeditation.org and um, make a donation and support us in creating this space and allow us to continue to offer the Dharma, the teaching, and the space for us to practice and come together. Um, and we are, a not-for-profit organization. So all of what we, receive in donation goes towards furthering this. We want to, start a few other sitting groups in the city. And of course, there's rent, there's insurance, and then also invite in more teachers, more diverse teachers that have very unique angles that they share the Dharma through. Um, and eventually, the hope is also that because the guest teachers we offer them dana for their time, but one of the goal is to eventually also offer dana to myself and Kendo and the home teacher as well. Right now we're doing all of this just on dana and everything goes into growing Pacific Northwest meditation. So as we continue, we hope to also grow into a bigger space as we're starting to max out in our current room right now, and we're hoping to move upstairs into the large room up there, which can, I think, house like 100 people or so, 75 or 100 people. Yes, and that would also give us more space to do walking meditation, lying down, and the audio is already set up rather than us calling in all the AV stuff and setting it up and running through the technical issues with it. But yeah, I ask for your support as we continue to grow. There's so many ways in which we want to expand and broaden our reach. But of course, all these things require resources. Yeah, and if you have a skill that you'd like to offer, whether it's volunteering here on Saturday Sangha or it's skills that can help us grow as an organization, I welcome that too, because we need a lot of hands and skills and minds coming together to help us, further this out into the world and make this more available for people. So we have YouTube channel, and what if we in spaces that are maybe more commonly known as unwholesome platforms where we can actually bring the Dharma into those spaces, whether it's on social media, right? Or TikTok, or else all those different platforms. So if you have skill sets in that, also helping us to put our messages onto there, the Dharma into these spaces. And like Kankan writes the reflection for the newsletter, and it's beautiful. It's these things that they're touch point for people who come on or who find us however they do, or read the newsletter but don't come. This gives them an opportunity to now tune in and engage with the teachings again. So I invite you on to that. So we're up on time, and I just want to maybe close with just this practice song. Don't have the more copies, but the song is called Happiness is Here and Now. We have a few copies, so for those of you who want to share, or those of you who know the song already, there's three copies. So if you could pass that out, yeah, thank you. And it's put the song in here, and we can sing this together. And what I love about these practice songs is that as we learn them and memorize them, they become the like little Dharma seeds in those time when we're just like, oh my God, where do I turn to? I need something right now. And it could be sweets or turning on YouTube or something, but it's, oh, these songs, these words that remind us of what's possible. Right. So I'll share this for those of you on Zoom. I'll put the lyrics in the chat. So the song is practice song is titled Happiness from the Plum Village tradition. So we'll sing this a couple times, and you're welcome to join me or to just listen in and just notice how the words land in your heart space. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, nowhere to go, nothing to do, no longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries, somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. One more time. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped dropped my worries. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. No longer in a hurry. Happiness is here and now. I have dropped my worries. Somewhere to go, something to do, but I don't need to hurry. And please join me for 3 sounds of the bell. May the sound of the bell bring us back to our true home. Deep bow to the Sangha and to all of you for your practice and your presence here today. Thank you for joining me in the community and for, through your presence, shaping the community and the practice that lives on through us. May you be well. May you have peace and ease, dear friends. Feel free.
Thank you, Trina.
You're so welcome. Feel free to unmute yourself, everyone online, if you want to say goodbye, and turn the camera here so everyone can see you. There we go.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Aw. Ready to partake off to infinity and beyond.